DMDongo here with another review from the DM's Guild. This time we're looking at the Heir of Orcus, verse 1. So, The Heir of Orcus, verse 1 by Anthony Joyce is currently on sale in the DM's Guild for $4.99. But what is it? This is an amazing adventure, truly great and awe-inspiring both in artwork and attention to detail. There has been a lot of time spent polishing and refining this, and it clearly shows. The adventure plays out incredibly well, and while no direct hooks are provided, the general premise of going to retrieve a lost angel is enough of a primer to get you started, and it encourages you to take your players' individual aspirations and goals and integrate them into the story really nicely. Essentially, the players are tasked with finding the lost angel for one of two factions, though players being players, chaos is always an option. The players in question should be between levels 1 and 4, although I would recommend probably level 3 for these, and it should take about 2 to 4 hours to complete. There's a nice adjustment you can make on all of the encounters to if your party has happened to be slightly stronger or slightly weaker, so that you can run it with lower or higher level players. The adventure itself is split into 3 episodes, and each is punchy and easy to run, with clear indications of what is where and what goes where. It makes it really nice and easy to just very quickly integrate it into your existing campaign, be that campaign either live or on the virtual tabletop. In addition, the main thrust of the adventure, there are 2 side missions available should the players wish to pursue them, and that's always nice to see, these little kind of bonus things you can do. The 2 main factions that are mentioned are well fleshed out, their motivations are believable without being too cliche, and it gives some shadow of a doubt in terms of which side you should be on based on some of the things that the 2 factions do. The opening did have me thinking a bit of the opening of Skyrim, but in a good way. Lore is also provided so that the DM can trickle feed their players the kind of meat to things like what Orcus is about or what the angel Zariel does. And I also feed them information about the Blood War and what that's all about. And if you don't know, there's a big old thing in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes about that, so you can read more. Combat itself happens quickly, so the action and the players are instantly put into the thrust of the adventure. Or, like every single encounter in this, you can choose not to do combat. All 3 pillars are represented at consistent points and mentioned in the bottom to say, here's how you complete this thing with this type of thing. If your players are more combat heavy, more roleplay, or maybe they prefer exploration and hiding and trickery and sneaking. What did I like? I loved the pixel art maps and the character tokens. They take me back to the early days of playing Final Fantasy. Not 6 or 7, more think 3 or 4. They may be slightly divisive. I know pixel art can sometimes get a bad rap, even my own, but I truly love the way this looks. The attention to choice and player agency, picking a side, is handled extremely well, and players have every reason to choose either. It's not just a simple case of good versus evil. Even the other side, one of the factions, while they may be traditionally thought of as villains, they do certain things that make you think that maybe they're not all bad and they just have different goals to you in the way they go about getting them. Descriptions that are listed here attack all of the senses, which is a great way to immerse your players in the world, and too often I see the sense of smell or touch kind of just left out, and that's not the case here. Really nice to see that. The little side quest of playing Dragon Chess is brilliant and unique and interesting rewards that go along with it. I like the little feast events, the kind of things that can happen while this grand feast is taking place. You can have little bits and pieces just peppered about to make the world feel more immersive and more real. Every area, in addition, is mapped out in perfect detail, and it's really nice to see, so you can, and they're a delight to read through as well as a DM. And they always go along with their accompanying maps. It means that you're not bored trying to set up this adventure, or maybe even bored reading it out to your players. There's a real excitement here. I love the little books in the library specifically. They are really interesting. They're just little snippets of lore and things. They don't serve any mechanical purpose, but they're a really great idea to make the world feel better, to make it feel they're like a really nice little polish piece that you don't need to have to run the adventure, but they're nice to have there. Every character as well has little role-playing tips and how they interact with players and other NPCs, and how, in addition to that, how those players can use those role-playing tips and how you can interact with them so that they can complete each encounter via any pillar. And that's a nice thing. At the bottom of every encounter page, there is the pillars listed and potential solutions utilizing those pillars. Things like sneaking off and going to find the key that you're looking for, or maybe just talking to the NPC and mentioning certain things will get them to behave in certain ways. And you can pepper those ideas throughout the adventure to kind of give players a good understanding of what they need to do to complete their mission. And there's always combat to fall back on. There is clearly a lot of thought about potential pitfalls a player might encounter. It has been thought in with elegant solutions to each one. If something happens where a player ends up in a point where they feel like there's nowhere to go, that's kind of been thought of. That's been addressed so that there's nowhere you can get stuck, as it were. There's always a way forward, fail forward, as it were. And I love that each episode is unique and a joy to run itself. Each one is different in the way it's structured. The appendices as well are really well thought out and a delightful bonus. And the whole adventure takes the point, like I said before, of fail forward really, really well. Now, what didn't I like about the adventure? There is so little I didn't like here. I'm just going to say this now. This is probably a very good template for how you should build adventures for the DM's Guild. It's truly brilliant. I might say things like maybe add a music suggestion, but otherwise it's really perfect. Although I do understand that some people might not like the pixel art style. It's something that tends to be quite divisive. I do think it's on a little short side, between 2 to 4 hours, but I think with a lot of the roleplay potentials, you can get a lot out of this adventure, and it is definitely worth its price point. Finally, my rating. I want to start by saying I had incredibly high hopes for this adventure. The art had me curious and wanting more. Not just the pixel art, but the comic that's provided along with it is kind of a primer for your adventurers. And I was prepared to be disappointed by either the structure or the story of this. But no, this is a truly brilliant piece, and its sequel, which is verse 2, is equally amazing. And I'll put links for both of these in the description down below. Finally, onto my perk system, combat. There is no mandatory combat here, and that's a good thing. It means that your players have a choice. They never feel like they're forced into fighting, which is never really fun, and there's always an option to not fight. Now, whether your players do that or not, well, your mileage may vary there. But at least the option is there. Combat that can occur, though, is interesting and dynamic. From mounted fighting to creatures that can turn allies against each other, to maniacally insane enemies, there is a lot of interesting encounters possible to excite players. Not from just a combat, but from a roleplay combat perspective. So I give it 5 out of 5 here. Roleplay. Roleplay is handled extremely well, with characters that are well thought out, with their own easy to understand drives and motivations, which makes them a delight to play, both as a DM and as a player. That's an important thing that you sometimes forget when you're running these adventures. What is the player experience? What's the DM's experience? What do they feel like when they're playing these things? It's important to manage both sides of the fun equation. And there's a lot to play around here, with feasts and plots to explore. From any side, this will be a wonder for players to roleplay their way through multiple encounters. So 5 out of 5. Exploration. This module really shines here. So much choice, so many places for players to explore. And side quests as well, which is always a nice thing to see. Things you can do, but that don't necessarily bring forward the thrust of the main plot. And there is really a lot of ways to traverse this module and to see all its wonders and hidden gems. The dragon chess game has no purpose in the plot. None at all. But at the same time, it's brilliant that it's there. That's part of what exploration is, finding those little hidden bits of an adventure. The manor itself is just a fun thing to run and explore and look around and talk to people and find out all the little secrets and hidden histories of characters, Nerf and Perfect specifically. and I give it a 5 out of 5 here as well. Polish. Finally, we get onto kind of the area where a lot of adventures fall flat or can feel like there's not a lot of thought. But what else can I say but wow. The handouts are brilliant. The maps are unique and interesting. The tokens for every NPC and monster, wow, that's way above what most adventures I've seen do. Most of them don't go that far. This was clearly done with the idea of we want to create something that is for the virtual tabletop guys. Everything has been done here to make the game as immersive as possible. The DM tips section is a nice touch, reminding us to have fun is always welcome. The art for everything is amazing, and I love the little character cards. If nothing else, here is where this module is truly amazing. The attention to details and the extras provided, the meticulous writing, and the reminders that D&D is not about combat alone are welcome additions that truly make this amazing. And 5 out of 5 here for me. So, overall, we've got a perfect score. And I gush a lot about this module, but it truly is an amazing piece of work. Pick it up now on the DM's Guild for $4.99. You will not be disappointed. And while you're there, get the sequel, which is just as amazing. Thank you. That's been DM Dango. Please do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And please use my affiliate codes, because that helps me out. It helps me buy more stuff that people don't send me. And thank you, and peace out.